Welcome to Pixel Composer 1.21.3 beta. So first thing first, we have an announcement to make. On the 1st of July, Pixel Composer will cost $15, increased from $10. So if you're on the fence on whether to buy this software or not, this will be the best time to get it at the lowest price. Now let's talk about the feature in this version. So we have a number of new nodes. First is the Revolve part, and this node will basically take in a part and then revolve it or rotate it around an axis to create these 3D shapes. And this node is actually really powerful. Like in this example, I use it to create this flower animation, but you can use it to create any type of like cylindrical shapes. Another example here we have is a Colosseum. This is just this part that we revolve around, and there are a number of control over like the ratio for creating these isometric shapes. There are control over the scaling and all the kind of texture you can do to create this animation. Then we have other new node related to the path system as well. We have this path skew, similar to the skew node, right? It will just skew or like bend the path linearly based on the axis that you set. Another node here is a path to curve. So it's a node that will convert path data into an animation curve that you can use in, for example, in this case, a curve node. The benefit of using this instead of just manually set the curve yourself is that the path system here have a lot of like modifier node and animator node that you can use. Like in the example I used with the wave path to create this wave curve animation. Then we have the new draw line node. So this is not a new feature. You can already draw line from points using the draw line node, right? But because this node tries to generalize for like every possible case with all the settings here, it can be really slow when you want to draw multiple lines from an array of points that you get from, for example, scatter point node like this. Draw line point node to simply draw line between 2 points, the starting point and the end point. And you can use it to create basic firework animation just by scaling point differently, right? Also, there are also a new scatter point node as well. It's called, I think, Fibonacci point. So it will scatter point using this Fibonacci constant. So it basically rotates around each of the axes by the golden ratio, which will generate this more natural, uniform point. Then we have the armature skin node. So this node will take the armature and then will draw line around each of the bones, right? Here you have control over the thickness, the global thickness of each individual bones. You can also control color, give it custom texture, allowing you to create this armature animation for like procedural character. And next is a new system for dealing with animation region. In the animation area here, you can right click and there's a new option to create region, which is this region. If you use software like Sprite, you may already be familiar with this system that's called tags, right? When you're selecting on this region and then you play the animation, it will constrain the timeline to that region. And it also works with other nodes as well, like for example in the export node, you will now have the region option, which allows you to export each region into its own animation output. And in the template here, there will be new template keywords for the region as well. So the percentage R here will be replaced with your region name in your final file. It also works with the Sprite file in as well. So this is not completely procedural yet or like automatic yet, but in the tag option, there will now be an option to import tag as region. Click on it and it will just import the tag here as a region with proper name and color. And then we have improvement on the already existed node. So first is a new interpolation algorithm for this 4 node: the transform, repeat, scatter, and particle. It will now have new clean edge interpolation. And the clean edge interpolation here is not a new thing. You can already access it in the scale algorithm node here. It's an algorithm that tries to interpolate pixel art in a way that minimizes artifact. In a normal pixel interpolation mode here, you will see all kind of pixelized artifact here. But if you set it to clean edge, all the artifact will disappear. Here with the repeat node with random rotation again, you can set it to clean edge, and there's some artifact left, but most of the artifacts are completely gone. It's a straight up improvement over the original pixel transformation that I might make it the default interpolation mode in the future update. But for now, it's an option that you have to set, and it's not available for every single node yet. Then we have other nodes as well. For example, the repeat node now have the sort by option, just like the scatter node. So you can now sort the drawing order based on the Y position. Or the MK cable now have an area spawn, so you can set the spawn based on an area instead of just a circle. And the number of path related nodes will now have a built-in path range and shift properties, like the fill path here. So you don't need to have a separate node for doing the shifting or the trimming. Or this one, path to SDF, have the same option as well. The path builder now have a path editor directly in the node itself. So you can simply create like a simple path that connect number of points. And the local analyze node now have a new median filter. So this is quite a common filtering used for noise reduction, and the result is similar to stuff like the Kuwahara filter, but you can try to experimenting with it. Then we have improvement on the user interface. First, in the improvement on the 3D view, we now have more options for controlling the 3D grid. You can disable it altogether, controlling the grid size or the opacity and color. Then we have improvement on the 2D preview over here. You can now resize the preview or disable it altogether. Next is an improvement on the animation system. So the filter animation here will now apply globally, which will make it highlight only animating node. It will also show on the graph panel as well that you are filtering animation. And if you click on it, you just disable it. Then on the animation panel here, you will now have hotkey for adding easing. So instead of having to do double click and drag, you can now just press E to adjust the interpolation. You can also use square bracket to adjust the interpolation only on one side, left bracket for the left side, and right bracket on the right side. Next is we have more control over the custom toolbar. So now you have option to add in custom submenu inside. Now at this point you cannot add nested submenu, so you can only do one level submenu. You cannot put submenu inside another submenu, but I think this alone should give you more flexibility over your custom toolbar. And lastly, we have a new add-on, which is the remote terminal. So this add-on will create new WebSocket server that allow you to communicate with Pixel Composer from external software. So here I opening Insomnia on the other windows, right? And I can connect to it using the set port here. Remote terminal connected. And now when I do that, I can now control or send in command to Pixel Composer through this WebSocket. Right now there's no dedicated API for communicating with Pixel Composer yet. All you can do is you can call in a global function, and you would need to reference the source code of the software to see what command you can use. So the API part here is still work in progress, but I can do, for example, here send in a command for building node. It's just called the node build, which is just a function inside the software with some node types and position. And then we have a series of bug fix showing you on the screen right now. So that will be it for this version. And as I have mentioned in the beginning of this video, in the next month, Pixel Composer price will increase by $5. Right, and I think on the older video I already mentioned how the finance side of the Pixel Composer is getting worse lately. But I believe that this price increase should make it possible for me to continue working on the software full time. So that will be it for today's video. So thank you everyone for watching. Special thanks for all the Patreon supporters, and see you in the next one.